All right, so Edgar Berlanga stopped PADRAIG McCRORY in 6 rounds. Now, we'll talk about this fight as a whole. First and foremost, it's weird, right? Because it's two things about this fight. One, it was one of the better performances I've seen from Berlanga, but also it was one of the more dirty ones as well. So it's a bit of a, yeah, it's a bit like that. So as good as he did look at times, he did foul a lot. And to be honest with you, I'm amazed the referee didn't dock points. I really am, because some of them, we'll get to that now in a wee bit. It was really round three where this all kind of started kicking off. So you go back, let's go back to the start, right? So Berlanga joins Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, having been with Top Rank for the majority of his pro fights. Amassed a record of 16-0 with 16 knockouts, all in the first round against absolute tomato cans. That's really it. He fought absolutely nobody. Started moving up the competition and then was going the distance more. So he hasn't had a knockout in, I think, about 3 years. I think Damon Nichols, no, he didn't. He went 8 rounds with him and went to points. But he hasn't had a knockout in a while. He's dropped a couple of guys in that time, but he hasn't been able to keep them down and stop them. Now, this fight, Eddie Hearn said he needs a knockout, and Eddie Hearn predicted that the fight wouldn't go past 6 rounds. Well done. You were spot on with that. Now, I've watched Berlanga for a while. I watched him from his Top Rank days, and I've said it once, I say it again, I've never been impressed by him. I thought that, yeah, he's got power there, but a lot of guys have power. It's not the be-all and end-all. You need a lot more to your game than just a big punch. They're a journeyman who have massive punches, but they're journeymen. It's not the be-all and end-all. You need a lot more in your arsenal than just power. So I've looked at Berlanga and I've been like, okay, he's got some power, has a little bit of ability there, but there's not anything crazy that jumps out. Certainly, they're mentioning Canelo. Certainly not ready for the likes of Canelo. Certainly not. And I thought, okay, this fight, McCrory, yeah, he's improved a lot. He fought at 175, won an IBO title at 175, came back down to 168, which I was a bit surprised by because he looked quite good at 175. But he came back down to 168. A fighter who has got better over the years, but as I said, I remember watching him against Steve Collins Jr. at Fall Park in 2019. And yeah, Steve Collins Jr. is basically Campbell Hatton if he'd been promoted by Frank Warren. What I mean by that is that Frank Warren obviously looked at Collins Jr. and was like, oh, you're going nowhere, see you later. He was left to do his own thing and lost a couple of times. Campbell Hatton has Eddie Hearn, who was kind of being a bit more patient than, we'll say, someone like a Frank Warren would have been, but ultimately I think he's going to go down the same road. Now, had that fight, looked terrible, saved that fight in the last round, and that was enough for me to say, okay, no matter what you do, that's always going to be on the back of my mind, and when you step up, that's, you got problems. Now, I envisioned him going the distance in this fight. He didn't. Obviously, he was stopped in 6 rounds. Let's talk about this fight as a whole. So, round 1, round 2. Oh yeah, it's not a lot happened in those rounds. It was kind of cagey, bit of a feeling out process for both guys. So there's not a great deal you can take from those 2 rounds. It was really round 3 where that's when you saw Edgar Berlanga start to come into it. And he had a particularly good round in round 3. He buzzed PADRAIG McCRORY a couple of times in that fight, or in that round I should say, stiffened his legs and had a lot more success. I think he even hurt him at the very, very end of that round with a body shot. It was a left hook to the body. So ultimately it was a good round, but that's when we started seeing him get a bit dirty. So he was reckless. I'm going to just say he was reckless. He was reckless with his head several times in this fight. Was Edgar Berlanga just kind of born in with it? And, you look at that and you're just like, come on. I know some certain fighters can be a bit reckless with their head. It's not necessarily intentional, but he just seemed particularly reckless with it. But in round 3, he throws a right hand, appears to miss, and they end up in a bit of a clinch. And directly in why in God's name you do this is beyond me, but directly in front of the referee, elbow on PADRAIG McCRORY. Stupid thing to do. I've seen worse in terms of a lot more damaging elbows been done to opponents, but nevertheless, you're doing it in front of a referee. Why in God's name are you doing that? And they do tend to, for the most part, take elbows more serious than, we'll say, a low blow or an accidental headbutt, because it's an elbow. It's pretty flippin' deliberate when you do it. A referee didn't take a point. Bizarre. I would have thought that would have been instantly a point deducted. No. It wasn't the most devastating elbow I'd seen, but it obviously showed that Berlanga was getting frustrated in there. Even though he was having success, I don't really know why, but to me that just showed that he was getting a bit frustrated. Maybe he felt some of Padraig McCrory's shots, because Padraig McCrory, for all his flaws, he can punch. And what he was trying to do was he had that right hand cocked throughout this fight, was looking to set that right hand up, was looking to catch Berlanga coming in. The speed difference was vast between the two of them. It wasn't just the power. Berlanga was much faster, much faster. Hands were way quicker, feet looked quicker as well. So he was able to get in and out like that. McCrory just wasn't able to pull the trigger. But that elbow went in the third round. Then I think it was the fourth or the fifth round he landed a load. I think it was the fourth round, I think it was, where he landed, and it was low. This was low. Now, McCrory kind of held Berlanga's head down, so I can kind of see why it strayed low, but nevertheless, it was still pretty damn low. Referee, again, having words with EDGAR Berlanga. Anyway, nothing happens, doesn't take a point, doesn't do anything. Fight carries on. And I was like, from round 3 to round 6, it really was just one, I don't say one way, yeah, pretty much one-way traffic. It pretty much was, because Berlanga was landing consistently. You know, McCrory was hurt several times, showed a particularly good chin, to be fair. Like, he took some of those shots very well until finally succumbing. But his just defense wasn't there. His offense wasn't really there either, you know. He did, land a couple of shots on Berlanga, and he did open up a little cut kind of underneath the eye. But for the most part, it was just one-way traffic. And then in round 6, Berlanga really started putting the pressure on in round 6, landed a lot more shots, was starting to hurt McCrory a lot more. And by the end of round 6, you were like, the writing's on the wall. Will he even get through this round? Lands a big right hand, McCrory goes down, and he gets back to his feet at around about the count of 8 and 9. I think the referee was going to wave it off regardless, and then the towel came in anyway. So ultimately, it wouldn't have mattered. And at that point, I think that the fight had been well and truly beaten down in McCrory. Personally, for me, you could just see it. It was almost like, right, I can't land on this guy. The power has probably gone out of my shots. I'm tired. I'm hurt. And by then, whatever will he had, maybe he did still have will to continue. It was probably gone by then. It was probably beaten out of him by then. So Berlanga gets the win. It's his first stoppage, as I said earlier, in a couple of years. He looked good, by his comparison, or by his standards in this fight, because I had seen him look a lot worse in fights in the past, get dropped by a middleweight. Seriously, he hadn't looked good in fights, right? But he looked good in this one, even if he was a little bit dirty. Eddie Hearn has been mentioning Canelo Alvarez. I don't look. If I was Eddie Hearn, I can understand why you'd want to do Canelo, because it's a big payday. You can cash Berlanga out. If you want to actually try and build him and make something long term, you're not going to take that fight, because he would get obliterated by Canelo. Absolutely obliterated. It'd be one-way traffic. It wouldn't be competitive. He would get absolutely annihilated by Alvarez. I would love to see Eddie Hearn try and maybe see if there is improvements you can make there. At the end of the day, he's 20-odd fights in. If we're not seeing a great deal of improvement, maybe there's not much else to come, but you never know. If you're looking to build the fighter, if you want to just send him in, lamb to the slaughter, well, yeah, you send him in to fight Canelo next, because I think Canelo would absolutely destroy Berlanga. Whether he gets that fight next or not remains to be seen. There has been talk about Berlanga versus Munguia, and for me, I'd be making Munguia favourite in that fight. I think that Munguia knows how to finish these guys. Munguia, when he rocks someone like the way Berlanga was rocking McCrory in there, Munguia's just going to go ham. And I think Sergio Mora said it on commentary. He'll open up with a 6 to 8 punch combination when he even has a sniff of you being buzzed. Berlanga just buzzes you and obviously expects you to go down. And he's like, oh crap, you didn't go down. What do I do now? All right, reset and hit him again and hope he goes down. He's not letting any combinations go. Whereas Munguia is relentless. And at 168, he seems to be a lot more fresh and a lot more ready to go. Like against John Ryder. That was a good performance, really good performance. So that might be a fight. Diego Pacheco, I think is how you say that guy's name. He's talented. That's a super middleweight Eddie Hearn has now. He is talented. The only fight that I could maybe think of is if Billy Joe Saunders comes back. And I say if, because we've been hearing come back for the last 2 years. It's been nearly 3 years since he fought Canelo. The guy's looked, like the Michelin man in certain picks we've seen of him. So whether he comes back or not, I don't know. And if he does come back, lamb to the slaughter for any decent super middleweight slash light. He shouldn't even be at light heavyweight, but he's been so overweight, God knows can he even do 168. The guy's a 160-pound fighter, for God's sakes. And yeah, anyway, well, that's a topic for another video. That's what I thought of Berlanga in his most recent performance. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like I said, I'll leave it there. Hope you enjoyed it, people. Let me know. Berlanga versus Canelo. Would you like to see it? Do you think that I'm writing him off, that it could be competitive, that he could even upset the apple cart? I don't think he could, but let me know. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. I'll leave it there, people. Hope you enjoyed it. Smash the like button. Peace.